but they are many of them, not all of them, maybe, but they are mentors, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
They can be, not all of them, but I mean, I'm sure that there are. You guys could probably name them from each of your respective timelines or when you went through the pipeline. Like I know I can. I've got Mike LaMonica, Bob Rankin, Jeff Gilmain, Wes Brooks, Aaron May, like all folks that were instructors of mine, but they weren't the only ones that I looked up to, and none of them were perfect. And I think I've got to preface this with saying you can pick as many or as few mentors as you want, but if you put that person on a pedestal at some level, they will falter.
Oh, yeah.
They are not perfect. They will disappoint you.
Yeah.
With that said, though, like it is perfectly okay to take a little bit from every single person that you look up to, and that is taking the good and taking the bad. In terms of you see the bad, you recognize it, and you go, that is something that I am not going to do whenever I am in a position that they are in. In fact, I have learned more from that than I have from, hey, this is a good thing. But I also looked at folks that I was in the pipeline with as mentors. I went through the pipeline with Matt Allen, Nate Salvamini, and each one of those, they were older than me, but like we were in the pipeline together, and I looked at them as, man, I can take something from them. And it was fantastic. Obviously my ultimate mentors were, my mom and dad, but like I still during the pipeline learned so much from each and every one of those. And there's just naming a few. I mean, that's just in the pipeline. Then you start talking about getting to team, I know, Trent, I don't know if you know Wild Bill Adams, but I know Aaron does. Like how much have both of us learned from Bill Adams through the days?
It's probably even in my career, and this is going to come as a shock to you, but I've had my ass chewed a few times. Even in the pantheons of ass chewing, Bill Adams, he's still like a top 3.
Yeah.
Fun story. Old sausage fingers himself. There was a short guy. I'll call him Butters because I'm not sure where he is. I hope he's okay. But this guy was walking on Mildenhall. He had his hands in his pockets in his beret, right? Somebody from across. Now I hate when people yell corrections. I just absolutely despise it, right? Like when you just like scream a correction across. I think you deserve everything you get in return, right? So some guy's like, hey, get your hands out of your pockets. This guy with his beret on Mildenhall, there was only like 8 PJs there at the time. Like you couldn't hide. It was not like you could pretend you were someone else. So he goes, hey, get your hands out of your pockets. The guy doesn't even barely turn around. I was like, eat a dick to this guy. Turns out that guy was the wing chief at Lakenheath. Yeah. So the kid that did it is a young staff sergeant. I was a staff sergeant too, but I was like further along. So because I was across training, I was older. So, and his supervisor was deployed. So technically he was like my guy. Bill Adams calls me downstairs and proceeded to just absolutely destroy me in his office at Mildenhall. Like I walked upstairs and my ears were ringing for a little bit of how bad he jumped 2 feet. But I'll never forget because like as soon as it was over, he was just like, we understand each other there, Sergeant Love. And I said, he was a senior at the time. I was like, yeah, senior, we do. I just walked out of his office. But that was the funniest one of all. Get your hands out of your pockets. Eat a dick. I went to the guy. I was like, did you not even turn around? He was like, fuck that guy. I was like, I agree, but at least turn around and look and see who you're yelling at first, man. Maybe. Is there a nuance in there? He did not care.
Yeah, salty senior airmen and young staff sergeants, like the things worst that we used to say.
Oh my God. Yeah, I think he might have been like a senior airman or a very young staff at the time too. And it was just, I was like, oh my God, like I got an ass chewing of a lifetime for you just deciding that you didn't like that guy. Sweet.
You know who I am. I put my hands in my pockets.
I was like, the worst part about it, he was dead wrong. Like you were wrong. You're not supposed to walk with your hands in your pockets. Like he didn't say something that was mean or that was untoward. He did it in a way that you didn't like, but you were still wrong. And then he had to like track him down too. Cause he was like, yeah, whatever. And then he just continued to walk. He would just continue to walk to his car.
I remember that version of me. Those are some good times.
It's a cautionary tale. You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah. I think some of my best mentors, though, have been people that had absolutely no idea that I was looking up to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like people that I wasn't friends with or had conversations with, but I was just like, you know, you just see those people, and I, you know, I'm not going to name names. A lot of these folks are still in and working in places that we're not going to talk about, but like, or just, and it had nothing to do with rank. It was just like I'd pay attention to people,
Yeah,
and be like, I need to be more like that guy over
boy,
there.
I would like to be like that. Yeah, I can think of 10 people off the top of my head right now that I'm just like, wow, I'd really like to. That guy's a great PJ. That guy's a great leader. That guy, you know, and it wasn't always operators either. It was, you know, support folks that I've worked for them. Like, wow, you know, in a really tough environment to lead in, you know, being a support person leading in a squadron of operators is a challenge in and of itself. And to see those folks that can step up and lead in that environment, I'm like, wow, you are a leader on a different level that I am not, and I would really like to be like that.
Yep. Bunch of people out there that don't even know exist that made a big difference in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up because, dude, you'll never know who you're influencing. Or I say influence. I don't like that word.
No, we have influencer kits and everything now. Didn't you hear Aaron?
Yeah, Aaron said we had influencer kits.
I hate me.
You'll never know who you're shaping. How about that?
Yeah.
Like, you know, in the good and bad ways.
Yeah.
You know, because you know somebody is always watching, and I don't mean that from a 1984 deep state kind of thing.
I do.
They are always watching. But other than that, you know, other people are watching, and it's not just people that are younger than you or you know lower rank or look up to you. It's also people who are established or who are have, you know, quote unquote made it, that are also looking at you and going, ooh, I want to take that piece away from them because I like the way they did that, or good God, I will never treat somebody that way.
Yeah. But like that senior airman staff sergeant, right? That is way out of line doing certain things. Like, I don't know how many times in my career, like I've hit those lulls, and I'm like, I need to find some motivation. And those guys, though, that they're just like top of the world, anything is possible, nothing can stop them. Like, they haven't, you know, they've only been in for so many years. Like, it's intoxicating to be around them. Like the number of young guys that I look up to, and like, I'm like, I need some of that energy. Like, I need to find that in myself again and get my butt moving. It happens all the time.
Yep.
I mean, yeah. Tell anybody to go eat a dick. Like,
dig it.
You know what I mean? Like,
I love it so much. I love that story. I love it.
I mean, really?
No kidding. Like it was at that time too. It was like a pretty dramatic event for me. I still love it. I love every second of it.
Yeah. And I say kudos to him, man. I'm glad he did it. Not because you got your ass chewed, but because that wing chief probably needed to hear that.
Probably.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna tell you right now, as somebody who is a chief, there are some not. There is some not great ones. There are some not great ones out there. Yeah. To which, like, for the folks out there, like, I don't know if we've talked about this before, but they're what I've been told, and sure, I agree with it, is there are E9s and then there are chiefs. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of E9s out there. There are, unfortunately, and they're careerists. That all they wanted to do was become an E9. And unfortunately, that's not actually who we need. And I'm not saying that from a Air Force Special Warfare aspect. I mean, I'm sure there's a few out there, but I'm saying it mainly from the big Air Force aspect. Like, there's a lot out there that just wanted to be E9s. It's like, if you want to be in charge of people, if you want to have power, you probably don't deserve it. You are probably not the right person for it.
You mean when you label yourself as a leader and a mentor and think that you're the boss? Like, that's when things go wrong.
And well, it happens everywhere. It happens in politics. It happens in the corporate world. It happens in, you know, just daily life. You know, those people that want authority, those people that yearn for authority and want to put themselves in a position where they feel like they have authority. Because people screw up authority and respect all the time, right? Respect is the baseline. Respect, you should have respect for people. But when people say that you should respect me, a lot of times what they mean is, I want you to recognize me as an authority that does not give you the same respect that I expect from you. And that is not a good thing. That is a very bad thing.
So like all the folks that I mentioned, but at the same time, like since we commonality, we both know Bill Adams very well.
Mhm.
Never ever has he's demanded respect because of his actions.
Yeah, he commands respect, and not demands respect.
And he is undeniable.
Yep.
He is undeniable in one of the best operators I've ever met or worked with.
Mhm.
He is always squared away. He is always 3 or 4 steps ahead of me and anybody else I've ever known, to include commanders, which can get you into a sticky situation
Mhm.
if you were making the commander look bad, which that is not his intent, but he is just that good.
Yep.
Man, I love working for that dude.
Mm-hmm.
Golly.
Well, like imagine, and this is a personal experience I'm going to drop it. Imagine if the commander called him in and is like, "Hey, man, I'm going to make somebody else the SEL for the squadron. Like, you're still going to work here, but I'm going to give someone else that title." Would that change his level of influence in that squadron at all?
He still runs it.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Like, he's not interested in the title. The title means nothing. Like, I think just thought it was funny because like I got called into my team sergeant's office one time and he was messing with me. He's like, "I'm going to fire you as an element lead and put this other dude in charge." And I was like, "Cool. Like, that dude's hyper capable and I outrank him, but I don't care." You know, like, who you are means more than, you know, the label or whatever else that is put upon you. So those are definitely the people to look up to, not just like, this person is a commander or a chief for a reason, and like attaching yourself to those things. No. Attach yourself to the competent and capable people that are. It doesn't matter what the label does.
Yep. Man. All right. I'm done having a love affair with Bill Adams.
I don't think you're ever done.